Our president, Rebecca Bly, who I'll have an opportunity to thank more fulsomely at our AGM, and to the incredible FCM team who brought this important conference to life. Et surtout, merci à vous toutes et tous. C'est pas toujours facile de laisser de côté vos conseils municipaux et les urgences locales pour quelques jours. Mais si vous avez choisi d'être ici, c'est parce que vous croyez à l'importance de notre rassemblement. Et ça fait toute la différence. Because at a moment when Canada is being tested by pressures from beyond our borders and tensions here at home, this room is a reminder that Canada is not an idea in the abstract. Canada is built community by community. And for 125 years, FCM is where those communities have come together as a national force. FCM has always been a place where local leaders come together across region, language, party, geography, and perspective and say, we may represent different communities, but we are stronger when we work together. That has always been the promise of FCM, and today that promise matters more than ever. We are meeting at a serious moment. Around the world, alliances are shifting, trade patterns are changing, and democratic institutions are under pressure. Here at home, Canadians are feeling the strain of affordability, housing, climate risk, public safety, and doubts about delivery. People in different parts of this country are asking hard questions about whether they are being heard, whether their realities are understood, and whether the future being built reflects their contribution. We should not be afraid to name that. Canada is being tested. But I want to say something else just as plainly. I believe in this country. I love this country, not because it's perfect. I believe in it because I have seen what its communities can do. I have seen local leaders choose practical progress over cynicism, hold people together in crisis, and build trust when trust is hard to come by. And I have seen, again and again, when Canada needs to move forward, it starts locally. And here in Alberta, let's be very clear. This province has helped build Canada. Alberta has powered our economy, fed families, created jobs, driven innovation, and carried more than its share of national ambition. Alberta communities know what it means to build for Canada. Resource communities, agricultural communities, fast-growing cities, small towns, communities managing growth, infrastructure, housing, energy, and economic change all at once. And Albertans are also leading the way in ways that are not always obvious to everyone, including helping show what housing delivery can look like. With less than 12% of Canada's population, Alberta accounted for roughly a quarter of the country's housing starts in 2025. Here in Edmonton, a city that has welcomed more than 100,000 new residents since 2023, local leadership on zoning and housing has made this one of the places Canada is watching closely for what delivery can look like. And as we all know, Albertans also know what it means to feel that their realities are not always fully understood, and that is exactly why this federation matters. Because unity is not pretending every region has the same experience. Unity is doing the harder work of hearing each other clearly, respecting what each place contributes, and building a country where every community can see itself in the future. That is what local leaders do every single day. You govern where people live, where water is treated, buses run, fires are fought, food is grown, businesses open, and families look for a future. And that is why municipalities cannot be treated as a delivery afterthought. The new federal government has come in with a very clear instinct. Canada needs to build homes, infrastructure, economic strength. That federal leadership is welcome and the priorities are aligned, but communities have been living these ambitions long before they became federal priorities. So the test now is whether national policy can match local reality so delivery actually happens. Federal, provincial, and territorial governments are essential partners to us in this work. We need the federal government setting the macro conditions, representing Canada on the world stage, and making major investments. We need provinces and territories bringing their authorities and funding responsibilities fully to the table. And we need local governments fully enabled to turn ambition into places, infrastructure, and trust. Canada cannot deliver its next chapter through a federal, provincial, territorial conversation alone. And I want to be very clear, that FPT map table, it matters enormously, but the reality is that delivery ultimately has a geography. In fact, it has a street address. Housing gets built on serviced land. Transit runs on local routes. Permits are issued at municipal counters. Water lines, shelter spaces, ports, local workforces. So the question is not whether municipalities should be consulted. The question is whether Canada is serious about delivery. And if Canada is serious about housing delivery, municipalities must be part of designing the infrastructure strategy that makes those homes possible. If Canada is serious about productivity, communities need modern infrastructure, broadband, and water systems that allow people and goods to move efficiently. Canada's defense objectives and sovereignty in the North and Arctic is not only declared in speeches or secured through defense policy, it is lived in communities. And it depends on the capacity of Northern leaders to build resilient places where people can thrive. In Nunavut, Northwest Territories, that connection is real. The community is expanding core water and wastewater infrastructure to support local growth and new defense initiatives, with the town of Nunavut and Canmore each contributing $5.4 million. And as Canada builds, we need to remember that national ambition lives in communities of every size. Big cities are essential to Canada's future. So are rural, remote, northern, and smaller communities. They are home, they are economic engines, they are service hubs, they are places of deep knowledge, leadership, and innovation. Let me give you an example from southwest Saskatchewan. The town of East End and neighboring rural municipalities of White Valley and Arlington, communities of just a few hundred people, are building a practical model of regional cooperation to sustain emergency response, water infrastructure, recreation, and healthcare. That is local leadership, practical, consequential, and rooted in place. This is what we mean when we say Canada is built from the ground up. It is not a slogan, it is a governing reality. For 125 years, FCM has understood that reality. We were created because local governments needed a national voice, and today that voice is more important, more sophisticated, and more powerful than ever. FCM is not a member association politely asking for a seat. It is a 125-year-old national institution, and together, we are one of the few places left in this country where leaders from every region, every size of community, and every political reality still come together to build. In a country under strain, FCM is connective tissue. Ensemble, nous transformons les priorités municipales en actions nationales. Ensemble, nous transformons des milliers de communautés en une force collective. We do that not by ignoring our differences, but by working through them, and that is FCM. This is why our advocacy matters. When FCM gets it right, communities get the tools to deliver. We've seen that through the Canada Community Building Fund and the Green Municipal Fund, which has become a gold standard for how national investment can support local innovation, climate action, and practical solutions right across the country. And as Canada builds, this matters in very practical ways. À Québec, par exemple, le Fonds municipal vert appuie à hauteur de 11,5 millions de dollars un centre de valorisation de surplus de matériaux d'excavation. C'est le premier de cette taille au Canada. Avec ce financement, la Ville récupérait des milliers de tonnes de matériaux granulaires chaque année. À un moment où le Canada doit construire plus et plus vite, c'est exactement le genre d'innovation locale qui peut réduire les déchets, diminuer les émissions de gaz à effet de serre et transformer notre façon de penser la construction. C'est ça la force de la FCM. Appuyer des investissements, ancrer de l'innovation locale et faire rayonner des solutions locales qui peuvent inspirer le pays tout entier. We see it when FCM brings forward the evidence, relationships, credibility, and practical design advice that help programs work better. And we're seeing it now as governments across the country look for ways to deliver on major national commitments. And so our message is simple. Do not design national solutions around municipalities. Design them with municipalities, because no one understands the barrier to delivery better than the people responsible for delivering. Housing makes this point clearly. Homes do not get built because someone announces a target. They get built when land is ready. Water and wastewater capacity exists. Approvals are clear. Infrastructure funding lines up with ambition, and local governments have the tools and partnerships to make growth possible. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan shows just how practical this is. The expansion of 15 Wing, the Royal Canadian Air Force Training Base in Moose Jaw, will bring new workers, new residents, and new pressure on water, housing, roads, bridges, recreational infrastructure in a community of about 37,000 people. If Canada wants to meet defense objectives, the infrastructure that supports host communities has to be part of that plan from the start. Across the country, communities are maintaining systems built decades ago while preparing for growth, climate risk, and new economic opportunities. In Halifax, the renewal of Windsor Street is not just a local road project. It is a $180 million upgrade that will add wastewater capacity, replace aging sewer infrastructure, improve movement through the center of the city, and strengthen access to the Port of Halifax. When municipal infrastructure works, trade moves, productivity improves, and national economic ambitions have somewhere to land. These are not local nice-to-haves, they are national assets. And if they fail, Canada feels it. In Teslin, Yukon, local infrastructure is about resilience and connection. With support from FCM's Green Municipal Fund, the village is building protective shoreline infrastructure to help safeguard the community and housing from increasingly serious seasonal flooding. That matters locally, and it matters nationally, because Teslin sits along the Alaska Highway, a crucial transportation link for the territory and for Canada's north. This is why we need a fiscal conversation. We cannot keep asking local governments to deliver national outcomes with funding tools designed for a bygone era. Municipalities are responsible for the infrastructure, the services Canadians rely on every day, but the fiscal framework has not kept pace. That's not sustainable for municipalities, for other orders of government, and most importantly, for Canadians. So FCM will continue to be clear, and I will continue to say it until I no longer have to. Communities need predictable, long-term, adequate funding that reflects modern responsibilities. It includes new infrastructure investment, transit funding for growing communities, programs that work for rural, northern, and remote realities, and climate funding that matches the risks communities face. Nous avons besoin d'un vrai partenariat qui reconnaît les municipalités pour ce qu'elles sont, des gouvernements, avec des mandats démocratiques, des responsabilités, de l'imputabilité et un rôle essentiel dans l'avenir du Canada. But today, I don't only want to talk about what we need from others, I want to talk about what this moment asks of us. It means building coalitions across regions and community sizes, staying united even when the politics around us become difficult, telling our story more clearly, and showing Canadians that local government are building the conditions for national prosperity. There is something very powerful about this room. Leaders from every province and territory, from big cities, small towns, rural municipalities, regional governments, Indigenous leaders, and communities that too often need to fight to be seen. You don't all face the same pressures or bring the same perspective, but you are here together. In a country where too many conversations are becoming more polarized, this room still says we can listen, disagree, find common ground, and build. And friends, that's not symbolic, that is nation building. That's the spirit we need now, a practical unity, a working unity. A unity grounded in respect for place, strong enough to hold differences, and clear-eyed enough to know that a country as vast as Canada will never feel the same everywhere, but we can still move forward together. A unity built through service, through trust, through listening, showing up, fixing what is broken, and building what comes next. So as we begin this conference, let's carry a clear message to the federal government. If you are serious about delivery, municipalities must help shape the agenda. To provincial and territorial governments, your leadership is essential, and we can do more together when local realities help shape shared solutions from the start. To Canadians, your local leaders are doing more than managing services. They are building the future of this country. And to all of us in this room, this isn't a moment to think small. It's a moment to embrace our full national role. You are where Canadians live, where trust is built, where national ambition becomes practical progress. And through FCM, we're not thousands of communities acting alone. We are together a national force. So yes, let's build. Let's build homes and infrastructure. Let's build resilience and prosperity. Let's build public trust. Let's build a country where every region, every community, and every Canadian can see themselves in the future. And above all, let's build it together. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Carole. It is always a scene setter for us to hear from Carole, and particularly as we celebrate a remarkable anniversary this year. And that really does set the tone for the conversations ahead these next few days. Et voilà que conclut notre cérémonie d'ouverture 2026. Next up, we're going to be back here at 10:15 a.m.